wasn't, I was a nice guy, I just did toy runs. No, I was criminal.
Hey, so could you just introduce yourself, please?
Rick Osborne. Been called Ozzy since I was 4 years old, but Rick Osborne. So when I was first with the Satan's Choice up in Richmond Hill, my job was to go to clubhouses, get the money from the end of the bar that's for prisons, go and buy the dope, give it to the guard, pay the guard. And that was basically my job for quite a bit of time with them, was doing things like that, right? Bringing drugs into prison, helping with drugs being brought into prison, and helping to protect other guys when I was in there. And that's part of just being a group of guys, because we were at war a lot of the times. You know, I wasn't an innocent guy. How many banks did I rob that I didn't get caught? So many, I'd have to sit here and work them out with a marker. I robbed everything that moved. If I met you when I was 19, 20 years old, I could interact with you okay, but I'm listening to everything you said, and I'm trying to find out what your dad owns and what his company is, to see if there's a way I can interact and rob. By the time I was 15, I was addicted to drugs. An older guy decided to take me for a ride and inject me with drugs to relive his initial high. I didn't know that this older man that was 21, I was 14, that I would meet on the way to and from school, who was very friendly, was courting me for that purpose. And so that was heroin and methamphetamine. It was the week before I turned 15. And what happened was, every 2 to 3 weeks, every 30 days, I had to cut myself. It's a way to mask emotional pain with physical pain, and that's a very simplistic answer. But I quickly realized I could tattoo myself, and I looked scarier to men who I was afraid of, plus I also had that pain being put into my body. Tattooing to me was cutting. But mostly when you look at this, they're all cover-ups of the ones I put on before that had something to do with my life, or my gang life, or my drug life, or my attitude towards the world, you know, F you kind of things. I did 25 years, March 1978 to October 2003, from when I was 21 till I was 46. When I was in prison, I liked fighting. That's why I was always in solitary, because I feared men, and so I would fight men. And so if guys came in from other things, I just protected my guys. I mean, it had a lot to do with why I would escape prison, and because I was told to do certain things for my guys. When I was in Alberta, I had a young workout partner, and one day my mom came to visit me on a Saturday. And I said to him later, doesn't your mom ever come see you? And he said, my mom's got agoraphobia. I didn't know what that meant. And so I said, explain that. And he goes, my mom can't go outside. She can't work. She's got traumatized really badly. And I said, oh, what happened? And he told me a story of how she was a bank manager of a bank in Calgary. And these guys came in with full body armor on, with AK-47s and M16s, and jumped the counter and held a gun to her head, and made them freeze while they took the roving tellers and got out of the bank. And I had to look at the wall as he was telling me the story. I couldn't make eye contact with him because I was the one who did that to his mom. So it's not like I'm gonna go, oh, I was a nice guy, I just did toy runs. No, I was criminal. I escaped 2 times, but the second one, on a Friday afternoon, they shipped me to minimum security. And when they found out about it 3 hours later that there was a robbed ship, I was gone. It lasted 5 weeks, got shot by the cops. In December 1993, I went back to prison after lasting 5 weeks out in the real world. I was just a monster. I couldn't function in the real world. My mom was so afraid of me, she ran to a motel room when I came to her town, Stouffville, to visit her. And when I went back to prison, I was either going to kill myself or try one more time. And so I tried one more time. And so once I started moving in the right direction, all of a sudden things started happening. The lawyer, he was a professor, he ran Queen's Law at Queen's University, he came in, and he's the first one who looked at me and said there's something different in his eyes because I'd stopped doing drugs. And basically I'm created by teachers. It was teachers who started coming into my life and treating me normally, not like a convict. And so I started actually thinking normally. And 3 years later, I get a university degree in psychology, and did a fairly nice last 10 years, right? And so I actually miss it. You know? Here's the old professor that mattered so much in my life. Here's the one who said that you know, you're a smart guy, you can get a university degree. And like, he spent the last years of his life with me. I remember talking to his wife when I got out on a pass and saying, how do I thank you for giving me your husband the last few years of his life? And she said, you won't understand this right now, Rick, the other way around. As a teacher and a professor his whole life after the war, he always said to his wife, you can give me somebody at 0 and I can take him all the way to a degree. And so he got to do that with me. You know, now here I am, an old guy with white hair helping kids, and it's my turn, right? I wasn't going to be the guy that says, oh, I'm glad I survived, and do nothing, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to share it. But when I came out of prison, my thing was to work with kids. So this is Ozzy's garage. This is my shop. So actually, when I started working with different agencies, they would have high-risk guys, and they would say, would you go into this community, build a custom chopper to interact with them, and then we'd raffle it or sell it afterwards. And that started Ozzy's garage. So this is our shelving unit where we put the parts, we put them into bags and tag them. And here's the engine and transmission that's waiting for a frame to go into. And here's the front end. You can see the front end in pieces. A lot of my guys have never completed anything in life. And so to have something that they worked on that's completed is an important thing too, right? The kid that I have who finally sits down on the couch with me and talks to me about what's going on in his life, I've earned the right to hear that by spending weeks with him working on cars and spending time with him and making hot dogs on the barbecue. So here I am at Bath Institution, and there's a woman who runs the school there. She had heard about me, but now she met this guy who's graduating from Queen's and starting in and when I went to Queen's and graduated, she came to watch me graduate, and not long afterwards she quit her job to go wait for me, and I ended up marrying her, and we have a 17-year-old daughter. So when I first came out, I couldn't go to a mall, I couldn't go into a bank, I couldn't be around a lot of people. When you're in a little fishbowl of prison, you get used to that little fishbowl, and when you get out, it's a lot of stuff coming at you all the time. I had to let her hold my identity for the first few years because I did not know how to make decisions. I did not know how to do different things. So I really, you know, when I'm sitting here and you say, oh, this is amazing that this guy exists, I wouldn't exist without her. This is an old spot that's notorious. Back in here, it used to be the snake pit. It used to be a biker's place where he lived. I used to be in here. There used to be motorcycles here back in 1969. It looked like an opium den, big old beams everywhere, broken down roof, water all in the corner. And now that I'm back here in Port Colborne, where I come from, my thing was, I want to have this building. And for the last 2 years, the community built this. This building is theirs. When I talk to youth, if they ask me a question, what would I change if I could change it? I'd change the schoolyard situation where I was getting beat up in front of the whole school, and they said, better him than us. The culture at the time was, suck it up, be a man. I was buying into that culture of men don't cry, men don't ask for help. By the time I got taken for a ride by that guy and injected with drugs, I had lost my ability to say what had happened to me. And that's a classic victim, where you start looking at you're the problem. That's totally wrong thinking. But once I'd linked into that, I don't think you could have stopped that juggernaut now that it was rolling. And so if I could go back, it would be to change my thinking and understand that I had value as a human being. Yeah, we're in a different time. It's still happening. This is still the way young men get destroyed. The world's going by and they don't notice that boy or that girl until once it's already started. It starts creating your damage, which makes you act a certain way, which creates your more damage, which makes you act a certain way. So young guys that I work with, to tell how badly they're damaged, I just have to look at how badly they're sabotaging anything good that happens in their life. This is why I work with young guys and try to don't go into the game, because once you go into the game, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. It starts eating you. I quit my guys in 1993. I had enough. When I turned my life around, they had to give me a pass, right? I said, dig a hole, tell me where it is. I'll kneel next to the hole and shoot me in the head, or leave me alone, because I now had a little baby. Rick Osborne, been called Ozzy since I was 4 years old, but Rick Osborne. I was criminal.
Oh, butter, come into my churn.
I was the one who did that to his mom.
Ye witches, yes, witches, why won't you run?
I robbed everything that moved.
Here comes old Natty.
I had lost my ability to say what had happened. I was criminal. I was the one. I robbed everything. I was just a monster. I tried one more time.
I wasn't going to be the guy that says, oh, I'm glad I survived and do nothing, right?
I don't make sense, right? None of this makes sense, right? It doesn't make carnal sense. If you figure it out, there's no way I should own a house. There's no way I should have this shop. There's no way I should still be alive. There's no way, I shouldn't be killed by the guys that I hurt before. There's no, no matter what anybody said, I thought God had Ozzy tattooed on his arm, and every day he looked out for me, and I owned it, and I still do to this day, and it's how I survive.
Get out of my house, ye witches.
And there's an energy that exists in life when you move in the right direction, but you can't know that until you move in the right direction. It's that catch-22 kind of thing, right?
No rest for the wicked, no blood, no riches. Get out of my town, ye witches, ye witches. Ho, vela, carvela, strike. Es Morris of free salsa. Ho, vela, carvela, strike. Es Morris of free salsa. Oh, sister, oh, why do you run? Ye witches, yes, witches, can't have all the fun. Here comes old Natty with dogs.
It's okay if you fuck up in life, but what do you do with that? And there's our barbecue for this summer. Hot dogs and hamburgers every Thursday and Tuesday nights.